Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming. Today, I'm presenting our work on ad transparency, where we evaluate if the ad transparency tools provided by platforms are meeting what the Digital Service Act promises for greater transparency in online advertising. Online advertising relies on data. Advertising platforms collect massive amounts of user data to build profiles in each user. On the other hand, advertising platforms allow advertisers who want to reach users to select any number of criteria about who they want to reach. These criteria can be general, like gender and location, or precise, like interests and behaviors. The platform then decided which ad is suitable to each user, and when an ad appears in your feed, it's the result of the interplay between the advertiser choices and platform algorithmic optimization. So, this complexity leads to opacity and complicates user accountability and control. So, this pushed regulators to act. In the EU, the answer was the Digital Service Act, which pushes for ad transparency through two mechanisms. The first is that platforms must explain to users why an ad is shown to them and allow them to uh, adjust their ad preferences. Here, for examples, um, platforms implement this mandate differently. In Facebook, for example, they each chose two panels, one for advertisers selected the criteria, and the second for inferences made by Meta. On Google, it's a list of categories for showing the ad, and on X, it's a long paragraph of supposed reasons. The second mechanism is for society at large, for regulators, scientists, and journalists. It asks for two things. The first is archives or libraries that allow searching for all ads running on the platform. And second is providing ad targeting details that enable independent system level oversight and auditing. Here, for example, in the Metascan library, you can search for any keyword you want and get a list of all of all related ads that are currently running on Meta services. Similarly, on Google Ads Transparency Center and on X Ads repository. The DSA is being applicable in the Europe since 2024, so we wanted to explore whether the current transparency tools are sufficiently providing information about how ads are targeted to both users and auditors. We answer this through an evaluation of the four big platforms. The Article 26 of the DSA says that users must get meaningful information about why an ad is shown to them. Here, meaningful is load bearing. So, what could meaningful mean? So, we translate this into four measures. The first is granularity, like what targeting attributes were used to deliver the ad. For example, saying your interest, or more precisely, you are interested in pets. And second is attribution, so which tells us who selected the criteria. It was the advertiser choice or the platform algorithm. And third is the what data source used to deliver the ad. And finally, the accuracy by reflecting the actual targeting criteria used. For our evaluation, we used a data set from Who Targets Me browser extension that collects ad and ad explanations from real users in Germany. In our data set, we had 48K ad explanations across the four platforms. Our evaluation of the granularity reveals that on Meta, most of ad explanations are precise. On YouTube, only 1% are precise. The typical notice uses a vague language, such as saying your interest and without telling us which ones. On X, most are precise, but sometimes it uses a vague language, such as your web activity. For attribution, we found that Meta is the only platform that separates advertiser choices from meta inferences. And on YouTube, most of the ad explanations do not clear up who made the targeting choices. And on X, most of the targeting is referred as advertiser choice, while the X algorithms is rarely mentioned. For data source, Meta focuses on two main data sources, the user-provided data and on-site tracking. On YouTube, most of ad explanations are metadata provenance entirely, and the same case was for X. And one thing is common across all platforms is that off-platform tracking is rarely disclosed, even though they say it explicitly in their terms of use that they are doing large-scale cross-site tracking. So for users, the DSA Meaningful Information Standard is interpreted widely differently across platforms, so meeting formal compliance, not real transparency. The Article 39 of the DSA says that ads in the repository must include the main parameters used to target or exclude users. This could be translated to granularity by stating the full set of targeting attributes used for an ad campaign, and attribution, which criteria is selected by the advertiser versus the platform optimization algorithm. And these criteria should be accurate, like what is shown to users should be consistent with what is shown in the ad repository. For granularity, the MetaAds library shows only 8 gender and location targeting data on Google. They provide only 5 broad categories without any rhyme or meaning. On X, it's dump tokens without explaining what they refer to. For the attribution, everything everywhere is labeled as advertiser choice. So we ran our own ad campaign and we selected only location as targeting parameters, but we have found that Google say also demographic as additional criteria, but we did not select that criteria. So for accuracy, we identify two measures to measure accuracy. The first is missing categories. That's where the targeting criteria is shown to user but absent from the repository. On Meta, there is nothing to compare. On Google, almost half of targeting attributes are missing, and on X, 30% of attributes are also missing. The second measure of accuracy is discrepancy, where the targeting criteria is shown to both users and in the ad repository, but with different values. On Meta, almost everything is consistent with a small location granularity gap. On Google, it's too vague to compare. And on X, there are a lot of discrepancies, where a big chunk of tokens that are shown to users appears differently in the ad repository. For example, saying to users that this ad is based on computer science, whereas in the ad repository they say data centers or laptops. So for regulators and auditors, ad repositories are incomplete by design, and responsibility is often omitted or misattributed, and their content is unreliable. So after 1 year of the DSA, no platform is actually providing the transparency the regulation enforces, not for auditors and not for users. Thank you. I'm happy to take any question later in the poster session.